My sharks are painted up, ready to go. Let's put them in this whirlwind, see what we're working with. Hey, my name is Troy, and you can hear the 3D printer running in the background because we're always making something cool here at Facility D20, and today is no exception. This is a fun little video in collaboration with my buddy Alex over at Foxhope Painting and Gaming, and there's a Sharknado blowing into town. And why am I making this thing? I was fixing the shower and didn't want a tube of silicone go to waste. Well, that's about the only reason I got, so come on in and let's get this thing going.
Gloriously idiotic. Absolutely pointless.
Check out my caulking gun. We got her loaded up with silicone. We're going to use this to make the bases and all the swirls up for the Sharknado. We got some saran wrap, some cardboard, and I'm just going to see what happens and go for it. Let's just get this wrapped around here a few times so we can make our swirls and our silicone don't stick to it. Yeah, let's cut across a pretty big flat hole. That's what we'll do. Try that. This little tea light here, I'm going to use that as the rough size for the first one. Let's just try a little circle around it. Okay, that's the first one. That might be too big, so let's do another one. I'm thinking this is going to work out pretty good. I'm not sure how big or how many of these I'm going to need, so it won't hurt to make a few. Let's try that. Hopefully that works out pretty good. The plan was to use a bunch of little sharks like these animals, but I can't find any anywhere, so it looks like I'm going to have to 3D print them instead. I found a pretty sweet hammerhead and great white Shark STL on Thingiverse. I'll link it in the description. I threw it in Chitubox, supported it myself, and then got ready to print it. I loaded the Photon up with some water washable resin. Hit print, and then I was ready to go. After a few hours, all 6 of these things printed out perfectly. I basically just scaled them in different sizes. They went into the wash and clear station, the bath with simple clean for about 25 minutes. And I created an actual Sharknado, look at that. Nice and clean. Getting ready to paint these sharks up, and we're only going to use 4 colors. We're going to keep it really simple. But if you want to see a really sweet Sharknado miniature and a really cool paint job, check out my buddy Alex from Foxhope Painting and Gaming. He's got this sweet paint job going on this really sick Sharknado. Let's have a look at it.
Hey guys, my name is Alex. This is Foxhope Painting and Gaming. And as you can see behind me, I got a Sharknado going. Let's take a closer look at it. So far, I managed to get most of the water base done. As you can see, it goes up into a funnel, and as it goes, it becomes darker gray. We go from blue to gray. I plan on making this black and then dry brushing it gray once it's done. And most of this I will probably be dry brushing either a light gray or white. Anyway, if you would like to see how I'm doing this, feel free to come by the channel.
I remember when I was a small channel trying to break 100, so if you guys hit subscribe on this channel, that'd be really cool if you guys could push them over that limit, get them to that first good milestone. Thanks guys, I appreciate it. I loaded up the airbrush with some wolf gray, and I just gave this a real super easy paint job after I primed them brown, because that's the only primer I had left. The hammerhead sharks, I went with somber gray, just a little darker. and I actually like the color of these a bit better. I found that my great white sharks were just not gray enough on the top, so I went back in, mixed the somber and the wolf gray together, got somewhere in between, and just hit the great whites again, just to bring that gray in a little more, and I think it turned out a little better. Once that was done, I used some FW acrylic ink, white, and just hit the bellies of all these sharks. Then I took some glistening blood, some D&D Gale Force 9 paint, and used my brush and just did this splatter effect all over these sharks. My sharks are painted up, ready to go. Let's put them in this whirlwind, see what we're working with. So these things have been drying up for 24 hours, and they're a little tiny bit wet still on the bottom where it was touching the silicone, but for the most part they're ready to go. I think the plan is just to start stacking them on top of each other and glue them together with some more silicone. And sandwiching these sharks in here and there in between. So if this is, let's say, the bottom, we're going to work our way up. And I'm going to start right here with this first one and stick a shark in. See if this is going to work. I have no idea. So the plan is to put a bead of silicone around. Just like that. Start with the smallest shark. Stick him down into it. Let's put a little bit of silicone around him here. Build it up a bit more. No idea if this is going to work or not work. Get him in there. Okay. Let's take the next layer and just sandwich it on there. Let it all dry up together. That's what we're going to do until we get to the top. It's day 3, things are drying up, but we got more caulking to do. If you think this was pretty pointless, hit the like button. If you think this was super cool, hit the like button. Either way, I was having a blast making this project. If you guys are liking this video, hit that subscribe button. I'm always making random shit in the facility, and I'd love to have you guys come aboard and join me. So I had this bearing. I decided to measure it up and try to make a spinning base. I figured that'd be real cool for this project. This was sort of a last minute idea, but I went in Blender, took my measurements, and made something super simple. The idea here was to have the bearing fit in the middle, put the center plate on top of it, and just have it spin sort of like a fidget spinner. So it only took me a couple of minutes to draft this thing up. I threw it in Cura, sliced it up at the 0.2mm scale. Didn't take too long. I think it took about a couple hours to print. And I went with a 40% infill. Checked the print, everything looked good. Fired up the printer. Yeah, it was really stuck to the bed. Now, this is where I messed up. I should have just printed this thing solid, because when I was trying to push the bearing in place, I pretty much just cracked off that little center part. So I said screw it and just glued it back together. It spins, and that was the goal, so hey, I'm happy with that. Now this is the base to the T-light. This T-light screws apart. I glued this to the base, and the other half is siliconed into the base of the Sharknado. And the plan is to just screw the Sharknado straight to the base, and it'll light the light up at the same time. So in order to finish this project, I had to buy another tube of silicone. So now I got twice as much silicone left over as when I started. Oh well, but it turns out it's Shark Week, so the reason I'm doing this project is because it's Shark Week. That's what we're gonna go with. Now it was time for final assembly. Here you can see I just put on some rings on the bottom. The last ring holds the T-light. That's one half of the Sharknado. Whacked a whole lot of extra silicone on this part. Put the top part on very carefully. Had to get a couple of old paint cans here just to prop it up, make sure it didn't tip over, and leave it for 24 hours. And also here's a second T-light. I just glued this pretty much to another piece of silicone. And then I started on the base. I decided to do this base too last minute and went with a corkboard base because I find corkboard is really cool to simulate like an asphalt. So the idea here was to have it like cracked up, and this was for two reasons. One, just to make it look like the Sharknado is ripping up the pavement, and two, I needed some room for my spinner to actually still spin. Just square everything up, cut off the excess. Then use some Army Painter Matte Black. Give it a base coat. Then some Dungeon Stone from Gale Force 9 D&D paints, and just done a real quick overbrush and just bring that black up to an asphalt color. It was simple, but I was happy with that. Put down some masking tape. Got some Army Painter Matte White. Painted in some lines to make this really pop as some asphalt here. Then it was time to assemble it. So I ended up cutting a hole in the top of the Sharknado where I could poke down this T-light after I turned it on. Then it was a matter of inserting the light, the battery, and just screwing this thing to the base. Just holding it carefully and screwing it together. There you go, it spins. This thing is ridiculous. I don't know why I did it, but hey, I did it. Looking good in amongst this Walking Dead miniature set. It's pretty cool how it changes colors. I like it. The silicone worked really well actually for the T-lights. I'm probably going to use this method again to make some elementals for D&D. So guys, check out some other videos on my channel. Make sure to leave a comment below and see what you guys would have done differently, or if you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to check out Alex's video too. I'm going to link that one here as well.